very good defensively, both in the top 15. We are underway. First pitch came, I guess, 15 minutes late due to the second start time, but also 45 minutes early. Weather moved through the area earlier today. They initially pushed it back an hour, or pushed it up an hour. And they're set for a doubleheader tomorrow because of the weather. And Ty Evans gets on base with a clean single to start things off. So here's the matchup everybody's been waiting for, and the scouts have their full attention. Hagen Smith versus Jack Caglione. How would you approach Caglione if you were Smith?
How would I face? Yeah, so I thought you were going to flip it on me, but yeah, I'll go from Smith's perspective. Here's the thing. I think early in the ballgame, you at least want him to think you're going to go after him, right? So later in the ballgame, you can maybe get him to chase. So early, I would expect him to go right at him with his best stuff.
And
like
Caglione sends a fly ball to center field, but the park will hold it, and a diving catch made by Wilmsmeyer after a misplay. The wind is blowing hard in from right field.
Wow. When is 15 minutes late, 45 minutes early, and when is a routine fly ball, a Sports Center top 10 play? We've got it all going here early. This ball, Wilmsmeyer goes back and ends up making what is an incredibly acrobatic catch on a ball where he just did not get a good read and nearly slipped and turned that into a single.
Well, Wilmsmeyer likes to play deep, or likes to play shallow and go back typically, but this is a little bit different tonight. We'll get into that when he comes to the plate. Colby Shelton at the dish now for Florida. And Shelton looks at the first pitch up, and the count 1-0. 15 home runs, 36 driven in, but he is prone to the strikeout, and that is something Hagen Smith is pretty good at as well. Shelton has K'd 49 times this season. That's fifth most in the SEC.
He will swing and miss. He will also put a quick one on the board if you make a mistake. Probably the best power in the country from the shortstop position.
Converted shortstop in many ways, and he's found his home over there. Shelton was starting at third base for Alabama last year. Jumped in the portal and came along. Preseason second team All-SEC after a freshman All-America year with the Tide last season. Didn't miss by much. Clint Fagan has the plate tonight. And the count 2-1.
Yeah, that's the one if you're the Gators. You got to leave that slider alone. Nobody's done anything against Hagen Smith's slider this year. Take your chances if that's called a strike.
Got in on the knuckles. 2-2. That was 98 miles an hour from Hagen Smith. Here's a slider breakdown.
There you go. 0.87 batting average against Hagen Smith's slider. Better off taking it. And this year, a big difference in Hagen Smith this year is he's thrown more sliders for strikes, but he's also got a career high in whiff percentage and batting average against it. So it's a really tough matchup for a number of reasons. But Colby Shelton's spitting on it, and that's what you have to do, right? He swung at the first one, now he's taking the last two, and if he lands that thing for a strike, you're in a tough spot. You got to hope you find a day where it's got so much break that it's missing off the edge.
Evans is the runner at first after a clean single to start the game. And the 3-2 to Shelton.
Oh,
hit
goodness.
Him. This is not uncommon for Florida batters, including Shelton, who's
did it hit his shoulder?
12th in the league now with 11 hit by pitches. I think it got the pad because it was awfully loud.
I think it was the shoulder first, Tom. Yeah, the shoulder and then the helmet. Thank goodness. Now the shoulder's not going to feel great, but it's kind of the upper arm and then right into the helmet.
Or the temple. Did it get the helmet or the head?
Well, it knocked the helmet off, so.
Mike Rivera's the first base coach chatting with him, along with the athletic trainer. 82 batters hit by a pitch. That is one of the top marks in the country, not just leading the SEC.
So it's interesting, Tom. Hagen Smith's last few starts, there have been a few more free passes than there were earlier in the season. He's coming off a run where he's walked against Ole Miss. He walked 4, Bama 3, last weekend against South Carolina 5, and there's been a hit by pitch in 2 of those 3 games as well. The command has been a little shakier the last 3 than the first 5.
Tyler Shelnut at the plate, and he swings right through 96, 0-1. Senior from Lake City, Florida. Shelnut had been starting in left field, but recently he's moved over to the hot corner. They've shuffled some guys around. He looks at another strike, 0-2. Coming off of a series loss against Vanderbilt, Shelnut went 3 for 14, but he did homer twice of those 3 hits. The Gators have lost 3 consecutive SEC series. 97 up, 1-2. And in the dirt, 2-2.
It looked like the changeup there. Florida doing a nice job early. So far, not any chase from this Gators lineup.
Two aboard in the first inning for Florida. And there's strike 3. First K for Smith.
A nice job back there by Hudson White. This pitch is marginal at best. A changeup down and off the edge. Watch Hudson White zip this one back up into the strike zone. Clint Fagan is buying what he's selling. And a 50-50 ball goes the way of the Razorbacks. Tyler Shelnut not too happy about that one. Big strike 3 right there from Smith.
So Luke Heyman at the plate, and the first pitch up and away. Hudson White, by the way, transferred over from Texas Tech. They saw the Red Raiders here middle of last week. Now 300 strikeouts for Hagen Smith, 3rd in Arkansas history behind Nick Schmidt, who's the all-time leader. Swing and a miss on the slider, 1-1. Nick Schmidt could throw a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, you're top 3 all-time in this program, and that's saying something. You still got a healthy part of the season still left. Hagen Smith got a chance to be the all-time leader in strikeouts in Razorback history.
High fly ball to center field. Wilmsmeyer chased all the way into the gap in front of the scoreboard. He was kept busy. That was a...
Gets out there more and more. He's going to round into form and give them a real presence on the weekend.
So here's Peyton Stovall to lead things off. He homered in their South Carolina series last week. In fact, he's homered in the last 2 series. Junior from Houghton, Louisiana. And the first offering to him is 92, but inside 1-0. Stovall was injured to start the season, missed the first 12 games of the year with a broken foot on a hit by pitch back in the first week of February. Second one in for a strike. He's got a 5-game hit streak going, including a couple of home runs.
Stovall really has become the player they hoped he would. When he turned down the draft, he had a chance to be a top 2 rounder coming out of high school, one of the most highly touted hitters coming to college baseball in that class. And, you know, freshman year, like a lot of freshmen in this league, struggled, but then really found his form down the stretch in the postseason and was one of their best hitters that helped lead them to Omaha and actually at the College World Series. He probably played his best ball of the year. And then last year, just really banged up, had a shoulder injury. So now coming back and really starting to round into the form that most people thought he would look like as a college player.
Did he go? He did, according to the third base umpire, Michael Durantes. And Coppola gets a key K to start the game.
How about it? That fastball up, that riding fastball up, 94 miles an hour. Stovall just can't put on the brakes, and Coppola off to a quick start. Boy, that barrel just goes past the point of no return. Almost him getting out of the way, I think, aided the barrel in going past the line.
So here's Jared Sprague-Lott back from injury, and he looks at a first pitch strike. He had missed 5 consecutive games with an oblique injury. 309 average with 5 home runs. And it's fouled straight back. What are the expectations for Coppola in this one?
I think the expectation would be that he'd get him a little deeper. To this point, he hasn't really had what you would call a quality start from a length or production standpoint, but the stuff seems like it's getting there. There's a great breaking ball on an 0-2 count to lock up Sprague-Lott, and that's a pretty good early sign, right? You You punch out Stovall looking uncomfortable. Lott can't pull the trigger on a backdoor breaking ball. And, you know, it might have been moderate expectations to start, Tommy, but so far so good for Mr. Coppola.
It must feel good for him, huh?
Absolutely.
Here's Vahiva Aloy, shortstop who transferred in from Sacramento State. Hawaiian native. Berkey, check out the bat.
That is fancy.
Aloha, Mr. Aloy. It's also the team barber, 0-1.
All of it. We get the bat. We get the hair, the blonde hair coming out the back. It's as drippy as you can get. I'm on it. We got different color.
Full drip mode.
Yes, we got the different color oven mitt coming out of the back pocket. I mean, my man is dialed.
And so is Coppola. He K's the side in the first. 1-0 is the count to Cade Kurland at the plate. And a breaking ball just misses. 2-0 now. Kurland hit in .264 with 8 home runs. Hagen Smith is behind in the count now. He had a pitch from the stretch most of the first inning, and once again Hudson White helps him out. 2-1. Sophomore from Tampa. Kurland has struck out a league high 53 times. That looked a bit better for Hagen Smith. That was 97.
Yeah, I think he's starting to loosen up a little bit.
Gators made him work in the first inning. Sent 5 to the plate. Little pop-up foul territory. McLaughlin at first base racing to the dugout, and it's off the screen.
It's a pitcher's night. I mean, the wind's coming in off the right. You basically would have to hook one. It feels like you're going to have to hook one in the bullpen to get a ball out of here based on some of the early results and just how stiff this breeze is. And you got a couple big, strong left-handers essentially throwing downwind. This is a night where Hagen Smith doesn't need a confidence booster, but you can see what Coppola did in the first, and now it looks like Hagen Smith starting to find his best fastball.
Kurland yanks that one foul of third. What did you learn about the Gators' approach to Hagen Smith in the first?
Looked like they're going to be patient. I mean, the game plan with Smith, I think the league is in agreement that you really need to just do your best to take the slider. Now, right there, Kurland was able to foul it off. But you have to make him throw the ball over the wide of the plate. The stuff is just so angry that if you nibble on the edges, you're going to punch out.
A half swing, and he went. And then a strikeout number 2 for Hagen Smith.
A little sword piece for Mr. Smith. This is what the pitching ninja will call a sword when the hitter tries to stop and just can't quite hold his swing. Fastball up. Kurland goes fishing, and that has been the game plan against Cade Kurland this year at his second time through the league. His fastball's up in the zone.
Jalen Guy at the plate. And he pulls back to take a strike. I don't know if they've done this for everybody. The senior from Greensboro getting a start in center field, just his 17th start of the season. Usually when the home team is at the plate and they put him on the scoreboard, there's a ground ball to short. It's first and last name. Aloy handles that one. But with Jalen Guy, he just said Guy. just keep it simple.
Just hey, Guy? Yeah. Guy playing center field. Well, it looks like they're doing it for Mr. Done as well. Maybe it's
we'll just keep it simple.
Yeah, just for the visitors.
Brody Done at the plate now, 8-hole hitter. You think, would you classify this game having started 45 minutes early or 15 minutes late?
I love it. I just, it's such a great riddle, Tom. How is 15 minutes late, 45 minutes early? I would say 45 minutes early, I would say.
Swing and a miss, 0-2. Doesn't matter when the time is, they're going to show up. Swing and a miss again. Hagen Smith has found his stuff. He breezed through the second inning. Pola has struck out the side in the first, and he delivers 91-mile-an-hour fastball to Ben McLaughlin to start this second inning. Senior from Golden, Colorado. And that pitch is up 1-1. Low and away, 2 balls and a strike to McLaughlin. McLaughlin has been the most patient hitter in this Arkansas lineup. He leads the team in walks. Slices one into the screen. Polo delivers another punch out. He has K'd the first 4.
Hey now, he got a little K strut rolling. I mean, this is the way they dreamed it up when he arrived on campus, and that is a paint job right on the outside edge. McLaughlin knew it. Coppola knew it. Man, is he in some sort of rhythm right now.
I would imagine this has been a very frustrating journey for Pierce Coppola. First pitch fouled off by Peyton Holt. And so to finally be at full strength and to have some success must feel wonderful for him. Here's a senior from Greenwood, Arkansas. Off speed pitch misses up 1-1.
Yeah, I mean, this is what he came to Florida to do, which is fulfill all the promise that he had when he arrived on campus. And we know how tough it is to deal with injuries, and pitchers have to deal with it. Seems like more and more these days, but man, you know, he's spent a lot of time in the rehab room and in that dugout dreaming about standing on the bump with his A-plus stuff, and it certainly appears that he's got it here this evening.
Holt needs a little bit more pine tar. Might also be looking to interrupt the rhythm a little bit. 1-2. Coppola has faced 4 batters. He has struck them all out. Holt, one of the oldest players on the team, and he sharply fouls it just in front of Bobby Werniss down the line. Senior from Greenwood High School in Arkansas, started his college career at Crowder Community College. And time granted because that ball was finally picked up by one of the Hogs in the bullpen. And he sends this one out of play.
Boy, they are late on the fastball. Obviously, a 2-strike count. Peyton Holt can't be too aggressive to the fastball because you got to pay attention to the slider that really is Coppola's best pitch, at least statistically, coming into the ball game. Man, he is just shoving that heater in there.
2-2. Holt got jammed. Another fastball in. Ooh, that one caught the home plate umpire Clint Fagan. But what a battle from Peyton Holt so far.
Yeah, and at this point, it's been very fastball heavy, and even though it's a 2-2 count, you almost feel like Holt could just sit fastball as much as Coppola has gone to it here late in this count.
What's this feel like as a hitter?
I always felt like when it started to go like this, the scales started to tilt in my favor. The more you could stay up there and fight stuff off, the more you felt like he was going to make a mistake.
And pops it up to right field. Ty Evans in position. The wind is going to wreak havoc on everybody. That's the first out that doesn't come via the strikeout. We'll talk with Kevin O'Sullivan, head Gator. Got the walkie-talkie in hand. Everybody does it a little bit different. Florida had been using PitchCom. Now he's gone kind of old school, but just a couple years ago, by calling the pitches into Luke Heyman, who's got an earpiece in. First pitch, 94, misses low to Ryder Helfrich. Interesting, the technology that it's available to coaches, what they choose to use and where. Whether that's home, road, if there's any difference in that regard.
Yeah.
2-0.
Everybody seems to have been happy with the PitchCom, but Sully's going back to the walkie-talkie method and the earpiece.
High fly ball, deep left field. Robertson to the wall. It is gone. And Arkansas is on the board on a Ryder Helfrich solo shot.
That'll get them going into Hog Pen. A bomb on a heater right down Broadway. And Ryder Helfrich coming into this ball game just hitting a $150, but it's big-time power. And, man, he cut right through the wind, 107 miles per hour on a ball that was launched at 28 degrees right into the middle of the Hog Pen, and that'll get them going out there.
And now Kendall Diggs at the plate to count 1-0. One and one. One ball and two strikes. That was Helfrich's third home run, making just his 15th start of the season for an Arkansas team which is bottom third in the SEC in long balls.
Yeah, I mean, that's why they keep running him out there. They're hoping he can provide that kind of thump.
Popped up to left field. Robertson to the line and makes the catch to close the inning, but Helfrich gives one a ride. And off the first four that he faced, what role does he play in getting you guys to where you need to be at the end of the year?
Well, you can kind of see, how valuable he is just the way he's throwing tonight. I mean, he's fastball's got some little giddy up to it. It's got some arm side fade to it, especially up in the zone. He just left one ball out of our plate on a 2-0 count, but he's been throwing the ball great.
Yeah, man, it looks like the guy that everybody thought when he showed up on campus. What do you got a guy against Hagen Smith? I know you guys have had a bunch of aces through the years and faced a bunch of aces through the years. When you're facing a guy like Smith, what's the pregame message to the offense?
I mean, honestly, you got to feel if he's got a feel for the strike zone, right? But and try to get off to a good start. And I think obviously we put together 4 out of the first 5 hitters, put together some really good at bats, and then obviously he switched gears immediately in the second inning, started soft and finishing late in the count with fastballs. But he's as good as anybody that I've seen at this level. So. We had an opportunity there with 1 out, runners at first and second, and we went down looking. But you're not going to get that many opportunities, right? So you're going to have to try to have your best at bats when you get guys in scoring position.
Sully, thanks for your time. We appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
That is quite the compliment for a guy who knows pitching, who has had and seen a lot of elite pitching throughout his time. That Hagen Smith is one of the best he's ever seen. That is strikeout number 4 as Michael Robertson goes down swinging.
Well, the numbers are so obscene, there's not a whole lot else you can say about it. When you've punched out 100 dudes in 53 innings and you're striking out half the hitters you face, it is what it is. And there's that slider that you start chasing that, and it's going to be another double-digit punch-out performance.
Here's Ty Evans. He singled up the middle early in the count his first time up, and he takes a cut at that one out of the strike zone. 0-1. Evans had a really good series against South Carolina a couple of weeks ago. 6 for 12 with a couple of home runs, 2 walks. He also walked twice. Junior from Auburndale, Florida, out of Lakeland Christian. First 4 batters in this Gators lineup at double digits in home runs. Nothing in 2.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest contrast between these two lineups offensively is the long ball. Arkansas has nobody with double-digit homers. And as you said, Florida has their first 4 hitters.
Swing and a miss, a 95, and Hagen Smith's got it rolling now.
Well, Sully said it. The goal with an ace is always to try to get them early, because once they settle in, it's usually a serious problem for the offense. And boy, has he settled in. 3 straight strikeouts as that fastball continues to stay there in the mid to high 90s.
You got Caglione to fly out on a fastball in the first inning. And he starts him with 88 here. The really funny moment with Caglione in that Vanderbilt series, game 1 of that series, when he homered against a lefty and he was coming down the third base line, he said, man, I love lefties. It doesn't make much sense. Cags did not go on that pitch, according to Durantes down the third base line. I mean, he hits everybody, but the success against lefties is otherworldly. Second in the nation in home runs. Got him with a slider, 2-1.
Yeah, I mean, 16 homers and 70 at-bats. It just doesn't make any sense. That would be insane for the best right-handed hitter in the country, much less for a lefty to do it against left-handers. I've never seen anything like it.
2-2.
Well, that's a paint piece right there. Cag shaking his head. That's a really tough one to handle, especially with Hagen Smith staying on the first base side.
Here's the 2-2 to Caglione. Slider chopped foul. Got just a piece of it.
And what's crazy with Cags is it's only 14 strikeouts. I mean, the guy doesn't hardly swing and miss. It's the most prodigious power that, you know, we've seen in the college game, and you can barely get him to miss.
Shift is on the infield, the 2-2. Grounded hard right at the second baseman. That was 115 off the bat for Jack.
Players Jack Caglione is, and he is an all-time great. The year Charlie Condon's having right now is just going to be tough to top.
Hudson White at the plate to lead off the third for Arkansas. He's their 8-hole hitter, their catcher. Transferred in from Texas Tech, junior from Keller, Texas. Hogs took 2 from the Red Raiders. A neat little series for them to come in for 2 in the midweek.
Let me ask you what's crazier. Is it crazier that Jack Caglione only has 14 strikeouts after having a season where he struck out almost 60 times, or that for a guy that's hitting over 400 and hits the ball as hard as he does, he only has 2 other extra base hits besides home runs?
That's crazy.
Crazy. Because he runs. It's not, you know, I mean, he can move. So he's got 25 homers and he has 27 extra base hits. He has 2 doubles. Really weird number.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're going to dive into those numbers, that would be a testament to his strength in that you have the power to put it in the air. It's going to leave the yard more often than bang off the wall.
Yes, but it also highlights what a season Condon's having. Another punch out here by Coppola. Condon's got 26 homers, but he has 16 doubles and a triple.
Yeah.
So there's that many more well-struck balls to the gaps and off the wall.
Here's Ty Wilmsmeyer. And the first pitch to Wilmsmeyer misses low, 1-0. I was listening to my favorite Arkansas baseball podcast recently with Phil and Bubba. And they interviewed Ty earlier in the season. He's a transfer from Missouri. And in the offseason, Dominic Fletcher was back in town. He had a chance to work with him. Chopper to second. Wilmsmeyer's got great speed, but handled by Curlin. 2 down.
That's only 2, boys.
They wanted to go. They wanted to go home.
We had two players running off the field for Florida,
including Shellnut over at third.
All fun and games when there's nobody on base.
Well, he was talking about playing defense with Fletcher, and they were just out there, you know, shagging some balls. And he said, Dominic Fletcher told him, he said, what I like to do is play as shallow as possible because I know I can go back. And Dominic Fletcher, an elite center fielder, and they've had a ton of them here at Arkansas. But I don't think he measures in the same speed category, for example, like Wilmsmeyer does. So knowing the way I heard that was, as an elite center fielder, knowing your positioning and what you can get away with playing shallow to go back and get it.
Yeah, I think that's a little bit of different strokes for different folks. There's some guys that like to play back and know that all they have to do is worry about coming in on the ball. You know, some guys like to play a little bit more to one side or the other relative to what side of the plate the hitter bats from, based on which way they feel better dropping. But I think the best tend to like to take away the shallow fly ball and trust themselves to be able to turn and really go full throttle into the wall.
2-1 to Stovall is popped out of play. You gave me a weird look when I talked about my favorite Arkansas podcast. Dave Van Horn, I believe, has been on it, but you don't celebrate Phil and Bubba.
Oh, I didn't give you a weird look. I'm
Have
always
you
curious
to
when
podcasts?
you drop a podcast reference. I'm just always curious where you're about to go. That's all. I haven't caught their podcast. I didn't know that was out there.
We will educate the masses, and we will start with Chris Burke.
Thank you.
2-2 to Stovall, riding a 5-game hit streak. Stovall shut down after 38 games last year, as Berkey mentioned earlier. Had shoulder surgery to repair a torn labrum. Popped up, and this one will also reach the seats.
Well, it's interesting, Coppola not really going to the breaking ball. Just continues to try to lean into that fastball. Let's not lose sight of the fact that Coppola's longest outing, granted just his third of the year, was an inning and 2/3. So he's one pitch away here from getting them 3 full. That's a big jump from his first 2 outings.
2-2 pitch. Upstairs. Had trouble against Vanderbilt in his last start, including in the very first inning. Squared a bunch of balls up. Jaden Davis had a 2-run double against him. They got off to a sizzling start tonight. 3-2 pitch. Again fouled off.
Peyton Stovall is letting it rip, even with 2 strikes. He's letting the ball travel, but man, he is not cutting down that stroke.
Swing and a miss. He did go to a breaking ball that time.
It took him a while, but there's the bender to get him off the field.
Games into the season, and he's barely thrown. So how do you prepare for him? What does the scouting report say, and how much can you trust it?
Well, we knew about him. He's been there a couple of years. He's got a great arm. He's had a couple injuries. It set him back. And, you know, Kevin and I are pretty good friends, and he told me that he feels like he's going to be a top of the rotation guy next year for him. So I think he had 4 innings, 5 innings coming into today, and a couple appearances, and you know it's hard to prepare for him. I mean, we have a little video from his couple outings, but man, you just got to see it. And he showed us a little something there in the first. He could get some giddy up there when he got fired up about 95.
DVH, we asked Sully how they prepared for Hagan. I'm going to ask you the opposite. How do you prepare to face Jack Caglione?
Yeah, man. He just hit a 115-mile-an-hour ground ball.
That's right.
And when that ball left the bat, went to my second baseman. Actually, it was my third baseman over there. I turned to the coach and I said, I've been doing this a long time. That's the hardest ground ball I've ever seen.
Ever.
Unbelievable. How do you just hope he doesn't hit it. I mean, I don't know. What do you do? Just throw your best stuff at him, and if he hits it, he hits it. But he's different. He's different.
Dave, thanks for your time. We appreciate it.
Okay.
Thanks,
thank
Dave.
I say Coach Dave Van Horn for Arkansas. Listen, you heard Kevin O'Sullivan talk about Hagan Smith, and now Dave Van Horn raving about Jack Caglione. If he says he's different, folks, he's different.
Yeah, the hardest ground ball he's ever seen hit. And what I love is, back in the day we used to tell stories about that, and it was all narrative-based. Like, you just had to take a guy's word for it. Like, it was 115 miles an hour. So Shohei Ohtani hit the hardest home run hit of the year yesterday at 118 in the major leagues. And I think Cags hit one earlier this year at 119, a ground ball. And that's, if you're playing infield against Cags, like, you can't really be far enough away.
That's right.
I'm going to play on the track.
Colby Shelton at the plate for Florida. 2-2 count. Hagan Smith working with a 1-0 lead. And it's fouled off by Shelton, who was hit by a pitch his first time up. So how do you, in the simplest terms, how does a hitter create that much force to hit a ground ball 115?
Well, it's two things. It's bat speed and strength, and Kaggs has both of them. So, for instance, Mookie Betts has elite bat speed, but he's 5'9", 180 pounds. Kaggs has world-class bat speed, and he's 6'5", 240. So when you're swinging the bat with that kind of force, and then you have that much strength and weight and mass behind it, we see some of the results he's gotten this year, including the farthest ball ever recorded.
Shelton yanks one to the dugout.
As in ever.
Ever. Now, StatCast wasn't around for Hank Aaron or Cool Papa Bell or Babe Ruth, but there is no guesswork anymore with the technology. Swing and a miss, and strikeout number 6 for Hagen Smith. It was the hardest ball ever hit in a midweek game last week against Jacksonville. According to StatCast, the previous hardest hit ball came from Joe Adell when he was at AAA Salt Lake, and the farthest ever hit. I misspoke.
Yep.
And most of those other home runs that have been hit over 500 feet, as measured by StatCast, came at elevation.
Yes.
Whether that be New Mexico, Adell hit his in Salt Lake City.
So you don't want to discount it,
Denver.
but it's kind of, Kaggs was into the wind. The wind was blowing in that night in Florida.
That's stupid.
Yes.
0-2 now to Tyler Shelnut. Hagen Smith has settled into routine. He allowed a leadoff single to Ty Evans, and a batter later hit Shelnut with a pitch. Since then, he's retired all 8 that he's faced, and 6 of them via the K. Is the 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Give him another K. That one on the slider. 7 strikeouts for Hagen Smith.
Well, he only struck out 1 of the first 5 hitters, but he has picked up his pace now with 4 of the last 5 hitters. And that slider, that's what we talk about. Like, if you can recognize it, if you can, you have to take it. It's just there's so much bend to it. It almost never finishes in the strike zone. That one right there just disappearing under the bat of Shelnut.
Luke Heyman is 0 for 1 with a fly out to center field. They have hung 7 Ks here at Baum Walker Stadium. Now, it's easy to count because the 5th K has the colors inverted, right? So you can just, you get to the 5th K, you get to the one that's got the red background and the white lettering, boom, that's go. 5.
Yeah.
That's why they do.
Okay, that's helpful.
I'm learning and teaching at the same time. Center field, Wilmsmeyer to the track, and he makes a catch as he steps back onto the cinder. That was a long fly out for Luke Heyman. Another his last time out against Vandy. He's surpassed that now. My guess would be that, they're looking at 65 as the next bump up for him, give or take.
Yeah, it'd be interesting if he keeps pitching with this kind of efficiency. Will they let him stretch it out to 75 or 80?
Here's Jared Sprague-Lott, who's 0 for 1, struck out looking his first time up. What did Coppola show you by going to the breaking ball 3-2 against Peyton Stovall last time up?
That he trusted it. Obviously, you don't want to walk the leadoff hitter ever, but certainly once you're 2 outs, nobody on, like you need to get off the field right there. And there was a certain point where it was obvious Stovall was not going down on the heater, and the fact that he went to it and threw his best one just shows you where he's at this evening.
2-2 now.
Ooh. Yeah. That's one of those pitches that looks bad to the crowd because it's not where the catcher was set up, but I think that one did catch a piece of the inner third.
Don't they all look bad to the home crowd when it goes against their team?
That's fair.
Three 2 to Jared Sprague-Lott. And he yanks it foul. Sprague-Lott spent 3 seasons as a Richmond Spider, best player in Richmond Spider history. Give you a hint, he played 2 sports.
Interesting.
Payoff pitch. Popped up behind the plate.
Played 2 sports. No.
And he played 2 sports at the next level,
That's what I'm
NFL
saying, yeah.
and MLB.
Brian Jordan.
Thank you.
Yeah,
It took you a
there
little bit
we
longer
go.
than I
Yeah,
expected.
sorry about that. There's only a couple.
Yeah, you did. You crossed Dion off the list quick.
That's right.
A walk to Jared Spraglott, who reaches to start the 4th inning. So 1 home run and 1 walk so far, the marks against Pierce Capola here in the 4th, with Vahiva Aloy coming up. He's 0 for 1 of the strikeout.
Brian Jordan kind of loses a little of his due because he, on the heels of Bo Jackson and contemporary of Deion Sanders, looks like that'll be it for Mr.
Vahiva Aloy is 0 for 1 of the strikeout. And the first pitch misses low. By the way, of the top 2 home run hitters in the country reside in the SEC. We've told you about Jack Caglione. Did you hear what happened with Charlie Condon tonight?
No.
By the way, the wind is blowing out at Texas A&M. Georgia at A&M. Aloy watches that one miss low. Jim Schlossnagle employed 4 outfielders and 3 infielders. And on the first pitch he saw, he homered to left. Hey, cool alignment, buddy. I'm just going to hit it over the wall.
This over the wall. You can't play me there.
Chopper to third, chance for 2. They go to second for 1, and now Curlin got him.
No.
Aloy thought he beat it, and so did, 8,000 here pulling for the Hogs. They get the force at Spraglott at second base.
I agree with the home faithful. I didn't think Curlin got much on this turn. Shelnut has to kind of take his time as he's going towards second base, and Aloy is clear.
Out call at first base. This call is under further.
Clint Fagan announces the review.
Curlin just kind of threw a changeup over there. It looked like Aloy outraced it to finish. Yeah, he's home in plenty of time.
The call of out is overturned to safe.
You like
Arkansas retains its challenge.
the in-stadium announcements?
Yes, I do. Thank you for the info. Very helpful.
So Aloy aboard with 1 out and Ben McLaughlin coming up. McLaughlin struck out looking his first time up. As quickly as Georgia got the lead on A&M with a first inning home run from Charlie Condon, the Aggies tied it back. They're moving quickly, tied at 1 in the 4th inning. Feel like Arkansas and A&M, another pickoff attempt, are going to be tied at the hip for the remainder of the season. In fact, the final regular season series for each of them comes against the other. A&M is number 1 in the country. Arkansas is number 2. And they'll be fighting for the number 1 national seed. 1-0 to McLaughlin.
You know, it's going to be interesting to see down the stretch. I think honestly, I think the top 4 in the SEC are still in play for the number 1 overall national seed. Kentucky losing that home series to Tennessee certainly hurts their resume a little bit, but as we stand, they still have the best record in the conference.
A little dribble of their resume as it stands. And Kentucky's schedule gets noticeably harder.
Yeah.
And they lost a series at Tennessee last week.
And we know those projections are just that. Right? They're projecting that Kentucky's going to drop a few more than they certainly have to this point. And they don't think they're going to hold on to number 1 in the SEC. However, if they do, I don't know how you could, if they're the outright conference champions, I don't know how you could have 3 other league members in front of them in the
foul territory for Caglione, and to watch this one get into the seats, especially given the gauntlet that they will have survived to get there.
And you look at the overall records of those 4 teams, all very, very similar. Tennessee's 35-7, Kentucky 32-7, Arkansas 35-6. A&M 36-5.
Pickoff attempt to first. And Aloy, who was 7 for 7 on the base paths, made it back in time. Being held by Caglione. Hard hit ball the opposite way. Headed to second is Aloy. That's as far as he'll get. And the Razorbacks have 2 aboard with 1 out.
Nice job there by McLaughlin, who has struggled a little bit in SEC play, came into the ballgame under 200 in league games. So that was a big-time at-bat right there on an offense that we've talked about. It's not an offense that usually runs away from teams, so they have to hit well with runners in scoring position and take advantage of the opportunities they get.
Holt sends a ground ball to third. Another chance for 2. Curlin's turn this time is a bit high, but had a head start, and the Gators finally get that double play. And the Hogs end up with. So here's Cade Curlin, and a first pitch strike to Curlin. And by the way, you mentioned something about Skeens the other day. Paul Skeens is 5 years younger than the average age at AAA. And he is just dominating. Ground ball to third. And Curlin retired. That'll bring Jalen Guy up. He's got a .53 ERA through 5 starts with 34 strikeouts against 5 walks.
Can I just speak to the Pirates? Please call the man up. I mean, these are some of the best bullets that his arm will have. I mean, he's already in his prime. It's one of the most mature, developed 22-year-olds there has ever been. Why are we seeing some of his best bullets in AAA? Please call the man up.
Jalen Guy at the plate, 1-0.
I don't speak for the rest of the hitters in the major leagues, but I know I speak for the fans of Pittsburgh.
They'd rather not. By the way, the scoreboard now has his full name, Jalen Guy.
There you go.
But it's just Guy. 1-1 now. You brought that up off air last week, and I thought that's really interesting. Obviously, big league teams hold rookies down even though they have to cover it by saying, oh, he needs more seasoning or this hitter needs to face more lefties or whatever it might be. So their clock doesn't start. So they get another year before they hit arbitration. But the idea that a pitcher only has so many elite bullets in his arm is something that I thought you did a great job bringing up just when we were talking about it.
Yeah, to me, a pitcher's prime, you take Verlander and Scherzer and a few of the pitchers we've seen through
Clemens and Nomoli.
Yes, most of them it's 22 to 30. Like that's their best bullets.
To third, backing up and knocking it down with Sprague Lott, 2 down.
Nice job there by Sprague Lott, who actually started to charge and then recovered. That's a high heartbeat play right there. All's well that ends well. See just a half-step charge, and then it's a late retreat. Got to the side, and then a smooth release to finish it off. But that's the part to me that I just think, yeah, you're worried about his clock starting. But here's the reality. If you call him up 4 starts from now and he goes off to dominate the rest of the season and win the Rookie of the Year anyway, he gets a full year of service time. That's one of the new parts of the collective bargaining agreement. So by not starting him in the big leagues, the Pirates have forfeited their opportunity to get an extra draft pick, because that's one of the new parts too. If you start him in the big leagues and he wins Rookie of the Year, the club gets an extra draft pick out of it. But if
it's supposed to be an award for the club for doing the right thing.
But if they don't and he wins the Rookie of the Year, he still gets a full year service time anyway.
Foul back, 0-2. And listen, what do we want to use Garrett Cole as an example or anybody else? If he's as good as he's projected to be, the money he's going to demand would cause a major shift for the Pirates to re-sign him in their recent history. Strike 3, Hagen-Smith. Couple of ground balls and a strikeout. The game time for this one was moved up an hour, and then with rain showers still in the area was pushed back 15 minutes. Berkey's still trying to do the math on that one, which is fine. But what they did decide while we were at the ballpark earlier today is that they will not play Sunday, and they'll have a doubleheader tomorrow. Fastball inside, 1-1. advantage who playing 2 games in one day?
The winner of game 1.
Nolan Souza pinch hitting here, and he looks at a off-speed pitch for a strike.
I always feel like, whether it's individual or as a team, if you get off to a good start in game 1, I would always rather just run it back in game 2. Now, on paper, the Gators have Jack Caglione going game 3, so they tend to be the favorite in game 3 every week.
We didn't chat with Kevin O'Sullivan but immediately before the game today because of the rain issues. Souza with the strikeout and the game time changing. First K for Fisher Jameson. But would you expect he holds Cags for game 2 of the doubleheader tomorrow?
Yeah, I would expect that because he's going to want, especially 2 games in one day, he's going to want him to pitch on the back end of it so that they can keep him in the field. I mean, that's been the whole point anyway, is to have him in the field for 2 out of 3.
No, I understand that in a normal weekend. Here's Kendall Diggs now trying to get healthy and get going. First pitch strike. My counter is this. Don't you want him as fresh as possible when he's pitching?
Right, because he wouldn't have a night to sleep on it and all those kinds of things.
Yeah,
like
now granted, it's not supposed to be 90 degrees tomorrow. It should be very similar to today. It's going to be warmer. It will be in the mid to upper 70s if the forecast holds. Diggs 0 for 1 of the flyout. You picking up what I'm putting down?
I am. I do. It is a wrinkle that they haven't had to deal with. I also think you're not getting Molina, the normal Arkansas game 3 starter. But Tiger's still throwing game 1. So, I like what Sully's done putting Cags game 3 against whoever runs out there game 3 for most teams. It gives them a distinct advantage to win that one.
Molina out with an ankle injury. Ground ball up the middle. Plenty of time, and 2 down. And that'll bring Hudson White to the plate.
Now, that was a hard-hit ground ball. 98 miles an hour. Ball's moving pretty fast, right? But
child's play for Jack Caglione.
17 miles an hour slower than the torpedo that Cags hit earlier in the ball game.
We're just going to let the music play.
Like it.
What is this, Savannah Bananas night at the ballpark? 1-0 to Hudson White. White is 0 for 1, the strikeout. Have I told you about my favorite Arkansas baseball podcast?
You have, yes.
Do you remember the name of it?
Phil and Bubba.
Well, it's bases loaded with Phil and Bubba. But
Okay.
yeah, I didn't share that entire part. Well, Hudson was on it, and he took that one for a strike. And he said the idea that he could come to Arkansas where Dave Van Horn gives his catchers freedom to call the game was a big add-on to the experience of being a Razorback, chopped to the right side. He said you call your own games at the pro level, so I'd certainly starting the 6th. Hagen Smith gets a swing and a miss, 0-2. Robertson struck out swinging his first time up.
Oh, man.
Strikeout number 9.
Well, you get caught chasing that breaking ball, and Hagen Smith just going to keep feeding it to you. This one's not even close to the strike zone. Robertson gets caught fishing. And now we are at 9 strikeouts on the evening.
Why do you think they use different tape for the second K?
Different tape for
Yeah,
the second game?
the second K has tape at the bottom, and it looks like athletic tape. But you don't see it anywhere else.
Huh.
Maybe that one stands out. That was a Tyler Shelnut. I take it back. That was a Cade Curlin strikeout.
Well, life's great mysteries, Tom.
You are a very curious person and a mystery solver. I would not be surprised if you find that gentleman and ask him that detail before game 2.
We'll find him tomorrow.
I'm glad he's got a glove because there's a certain SEC fan, that one off of his foot, at LSU who resides in the left field bleachers who does not bring his glove to the ballpark, and he took a Tommy White home run right off of his head this week.
No, I thought he had the glove and whiffed it.
Did he have a glove?
Didn't he? I thought that was part of the charm
worse.
of it. Yes, I think it is.
You can find the video online. It's amazing. Ty Evans with a swing and a miss.
Oh. I-97. Yes, sir. Driving that freight train down I-97. Hagen Smith, high zone cheese. And watch the little shake of the head there by Ty Evans at the end. Like, man, that dude's good.
So here's Jack Caglione. 10 Ks for Smith. Lefty versus lefty matchup here. Second in the nation in home runs. Last week, Jack Caglione tied the all-time Division I record when he homered in 9 consecutive games. He's sitting at 25. And he takes a fastball for a strike, 0-2. Think he was surprised by that one?
Yeah, back-to-back fastballs. He doesn't see that a ton, and both of those are just painted on the edge.
0-2 pitch. Well off the plate. By the way, the ballpark, you would not be surprised, is absolutely loaded with scouts tonight. Marlins, Rays, Pirates, Rockies, Tigers, O's, Royals, Guardians, Reds all have heat in the building. Check swing on a breaking ball. And he did not go.
This is the growth of Jack Caglione this year. 0-2 to 2-2. We've seen that a lot from him, and now he's just waiting out a mistake. He's not getting out of the strike zone.
2-2 pitch. Ground ball to the right side. And Caglione is 0 for 3 against Hagen Smith tonight. Just a 12-pitch, 6th inning. Smith has 80 pitches through. And here we go. Home half of the 6th inning. Arkansas won Florida 0. With Chris Burke, our fantastic crew here in Fayetteville. I'm Tom Hart. This is game 1 of 2. Game 1 of 3. 2 for us because we're part-timers. But tomorrow on ESPN2, 1 o'clock Eastern, noon Central. Ty Wilmsmeyer at the plate, 2-1. Wilmsmeyer grounded out to second last time up. Two-one pitch.
Here we are in the middle innings of a ball game, and Arkansas clinging to a one-run lead. This is just kind of par for the course for the Razorbacks in 2024.
Chopper foul of third.
Part of me feels like that the offense, and it's maybe less than normal horsepower that we're used to seeing from Arkansas.
Got him.
Is going to make things very interesting for them in the NCAA tournament. But when and if they get to Omaha, I think it then becomes an advantage. Because especially if it's normal, warm conditions where the wind's blowing in, they're going to be very comfortable playing in 3-2, 2-1 games. They've been doing it pretty much the whole season.
There is action in the Florida bullpen. Frank Menendez and Luke McNeely are both getting loose. In for a strike to Peyton Stovall. Stovall has struck out twice, both against Pierce Capola. 1-1. And you're talking about the kind of lack of oomph in this Arkansas lineup. They average fewer than 7 runs a game. 11th in slugging. They hit into more double plays than any other team in the SEC. However, they have some guys who, back of the baseball card, says they should be doing better for various reasons, not the least of which injuries, especially for a guy like Kendall Diggs.
Yeah.
It would not surprise anybody. Pitch in the dirt. There he goes. The throw to second is not in time. And an extra 90 feet picked up by the speedy Ty Wilmsmeyer.
Well, and that's exactly the kind of offense they have to play, right? You cannot miss an opportunity to steal 90 feet right there on a ball in the dirt. And this is just a great read. Fisher Jameson throws what looks to be a changeup just straight in the dirt. Wilmsmeyer gets a great jump. And now Stovall, with nobody out, can hit a ground ball. Even if he doesn't get a base hit here, if he pulls a ground ball, you get a chance to tack on another one.
Swing and a miss, and down goes Stovall. Third time tonight he has struck out.
It's a big miss right there, too. Stovall's ticked because he knows that's one of those situational at-bats where just a dribble to first, something to the right side to move Wilmsmeyer over would have changed the whole outlook of this inning.
Here's Jared Sprague-Lott. And he popped up the first that he saw. Caglione coming in, and the catcher Heyman wants it. Caglione, and they run into each other.
Cags was calling it the whole time, and you could tell it was really interesting. Heyman looks at it, and then he peeks back at Caglione, who's clearly making a move on the base.
Now Jameson's got to battle back. Misses with the fastball, 1-1. I wonder, just trying to see it from Heyman's perspective, Caglione is a long strider. He's very graceful. He wasn't in a rush to get there. When he peaked, he thought to himself, man, he's pretty far away.
He's pretty far away. I agree with that. And I don't think Cags called it late. He called it early. And give credit to this incredible home crowd. That's hard. If he's not calling it multiple times, including as he gets closer to being under the baseball, you could see where Heyman maybe didn't hear the first one. And as you said, when he peaked, Cags still had a lot of ground to make up.
Here's a 2-1 to Sprague-Lott. He went 2-2.
See Heyman here. He's right here. He looks. Watch. He looks. And yeah, you're right. He's a far way away. But Cags got there, and he got there easily. It's just the communication wasn't loud enough to make Heyman give way.
A little bit more difficult in front of a crowd that's filled in nicely, maybe 10,000 plus here. Chopper to short. That'll advance the runner. And Caglione had to come nearly off the bag, but you saw 6'4" of his frame. 2 down, and Wilmsmeyer now at third with Eloy coming up, and a chat with Nate Thompson over there.
And that's where the situational at bat by Stovall really stings, because if he was able to move him over, who knows, maybe Florida plays the infield in and things change. But if they stayed with the infield back, that slow roller to short drives in a run.
Eloy is 0 for 2 and a visit from Heyman. Vahiva Eloy was a big-time pickup in the transfer portal out of Sacramento State. He is 0 for 2 tonight, a strikeout and a fielder's choice, and the first pitch misses low to the Arkansas shortstop. Was a freshman All-American last year with Sac State. And he sends a line drive, just foul, 1-1.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a rough start for Eloy. You can imagine big expectations, a huge portal pickup after a monster freshman season. But he has really settled in nicely. And your shortstop batting in the 3-hole shows you how much Dave Van Horn trusts Eloy to come up with big at-bats like he's got an opportunity to right here.
Jammed him, little squibber to the right side. Curlin is there, and Arkansas misses another opportunity. Leadoff man got on, never got home. Stadium, and a 1-0 lead for the home team in the 7th. Hagen Smith has pitched to gem. He has struck out 10 through 6 innings. He has retired 17 straight. Colby Shelton leads off the 7th, 0 for 1 to the strikeout. He was the last Gator to reach base. He was hit by a pitch in the shoulder back in the first inning. Two and 1. And that one just got away from him. 3 balls and a strike now. What impresses you the most about Hagen Smith?
I think the fact that he's able to run through these lineups with 2 pitches. You know, everybody tends to think you have to have 3, and the changeup's there. It's not like it's non-existent. For the most part, he runs through the best lineups in the country with 2 pitches, and occasionally he can be effectively wild. We saw him run one up and into Colby Shelton his first time, and now another one that goes high into the arm side. Really, other than Shelton, the command has been world-class this evening. For whatever reason, it's gotten a little wobbly against the Gators shortstop.
85 pitches into it. Hudson White with a word for his pitcher.
Number 6, Tyler Shelnut.
And Tyler Shelnut coming up. Dave Van Horn has had some great ones under his tutelage here. But Hagen Smith is now 2nd all-time in strikeouts in Arkansas history, behind Nick Schmidt. And a bunt up the third base line, scooped up by Sprague Lott. What a play, but it's dropped over at first base, and headed to third is Shelton. And they're going to get interference on the base runner, Tyler Shelnut. He'll be ruled out. Mike Rivera trying to plead his case, saying the throw tailed into foul territory.
And he's right, but if Shelnut is not in the runner's lane, it will not matter. And I didn't catch it live as Sprague Lott makes a heck of a play coming up the third baseline, and he is inside that for sure. The ball hits Shelnut. He's out. That's just the rule. He's clearly inside the line. The ball hits him in the back.
Florida has challenged runner's lane interference. This play is under further.
Here's our announcement as soon as the music stops.
The call of runner's lane interference is confirmed. The runner is out. The runner that originally started at first base has to return to first base.
Well, that's rough. What a great bunt.
We'll have one
I mean, just a beautiful bunt. And Sprague Lott does all he can. The throw just sails up the line, which happens all the time when you're charging that hard. But, you know, rule's a rule. And, man, instead of first and third and nobody out, you got a runner on first base and an out. Talk about changing the complexion of an inning.
Yeah, it's a dead ball as soon as it hits Shelnut, and every base runner has to return to their previously occupied base. So instead of first and third and nobody out, there's one down now for Luke Heyman.
How do we score that?
Personal preference. You can put whatever you want in your
Okay.
scorebook. I put 5-3 with a little asterisk.
All right, I like it.
One and 0 to Heyman, who is 0 for 2. He has hit 2 balls really hard tonight and has nothing to show for it.
2 monster shots out into the teeth of the wind in the biggest part of the ballpark. The old hang with them for Luke Heyman tonight. Just kind of the way the year has gone for him. A really good hitter who's just had a tough luck season. He's looked very comfortable against one of the best pitchers in the country tonight.
2 balls and a strike to Heyman. In the first inning, 105 miles an hour off the bat, fly out to center. In the fourth, 106 flew out to center. Keeping a close eye on Shelton, who was 4 for 5 on the base pass. What a night here in Northwest Arkansas. Line drive down the left side and into the corner. Shelton headed to third. It's dug out by Holt, and they'll hold Shelton up. It's a double for Luke Heyman. You said it. He is awfully comfortable, the most comfortable we've seen against Hagen Smith tonight.
No question about it. He looks as comfortable as anybody has all season long, has not missed a barrel. And I like the game plan. Hey, look, the high bomb to center isn't the play tonight. How about flatten it out and rip it into the left field corner? That looked like maybe a hanging changeup, 88 miles an hour, and that is rifled into the corner. How big is that bunt loom right now? But still an outstanding opportunity here for the Gators.
It's Cade Curlin. Corners are in for Arkansas, and Curlin fouls the first straight back.
You get the corners in, the middle back. Curlin's got to know they're going to work him up in the zone the way they did early in the ball game. All he's got to do is be short to it, stay in the middle of the field, and tie this ball game up.
Little chopper to third. Sprague
Oh, wow.
Barehand comes home. They got him. What a play by Jared Sprague-Lott. He preserves the shutout in a one-run Arkansas lead.
Are you kidding me? How about the guts? I mean, let's just talk about the guts. The play is incredible, but you better have some serious nerve to backhand that baseball, and then you got to pull it off, right? You got the nerve to try to make the play, then you got to actually do it. Bare hand, throw all in one motion, put it right there on the edge of the dirt. Hudson White does the rest. That is a SportsCenter top 10 play if you've ever seen one. Incredible work by Jared Sprague-Lott over there at the hot corner.
Smith not out of trouble yet. 2 down in the 7th inning. Jalen Guy at the plate. Berkey, talk about plays that you don't usually practice. A lot of third basemen practice charging, bare hand throw to first.
Yes.
That is routine. But charging down the line and coming home with the bare hand, you don't see it in a game. It's not something you work on.
Not and maybe if you did, it's probably going to be on the ground, like you're barehanding a ball that's on the
maybe
turf.
Maybe a flip and you're considering bases loaded.
Yes,
probably.
yeah. He caught that ball above his head, and you just got to throw it however you catch it. You don't have any opportunity to worry about the grip.
Forget about the seams.
I love it when an athlete is committed to making a play and does not fear the miss at all, right? Like, I am going for it. Whatever happens, happens. Watch him. This ball's above his head when he catches it, throws it off the right foot. That is a world-class play.
2 strikes on Jalen Guy. The defense has been remarkable. 5th in the country in fielding percentage, and now a pickoff. And they got him in a rundown with a runner at third, the tying run. McLaughlin chasing back again. Now the throw to third is thrown away, and Florida has tied the game. What a turn of events here in the 7th inning.
Well, now this is interesting because when most teams run this play with 2 outs and 2 strikes, they do it as a double steal. So you're going to steal both guys at the same time, and if the pitcher throws it to first, you got him. But Heyman just kind of gets caught in between, and at this point, it doesn't look like it's going to end well. And then Sprague-Lott, after all of that, after the great play, he misses. And after making one of the best plays you'll ever see, him not making that catch right there gives him a chance to make 2 outs at home in 1 inning. Instead, the Gators tie it up on what was a pretty wacky top of the 7th.
So Frank Menendez enters out of the Florida bullpen. He is the 3rd pitcher of the game after Fisher Jameson worked 3 innings. And the first pitch is in for a strike to Ben McLaughlin. That was a wild top of the 7th. McLaughlin is 1 for 2 with a single and a strikeout. Got the top corner, 1-2.
Menendez coming in on a heater. 3 straight scoreless outings. Last 4 innings, he struck out 6 and is not allowed to run.
And in that same span, last 4, only 2 walks against those strikeouts. 2-2 pitch. Fouled off. Elsewhere in the league, Tennessee won a close one. Eked one out at home against Missouri 3-2.
Well, Missouri has had a number of fantastic pitching performances in the league where they have just come up a run short. Again tonight in Knoxville, they waste a heck of a performance. To hold that Tennessee offense, most considered to be the top offense in the country, to 3 runs and not get a win, that'll sting for Carrick Jackson, especially when you're trying to make the SEC tournament in year 1. Vandy and Mississippi State playing a low-scoring game. Of course, this one 1-0. A&M and Georgia with the wind blown out, just 4-2. Kentucky, South Carolina 1-1. Ole Miss, Bama 3-1. 2-0. LSU, Auburn. Nobody scoring any runs tonight.
Popped up and out of play.
Very odd Friday night.
If you're going to go through the whole scoreboard, we should have a sponsor tied into it. LSU in a must-win series at home against Auburn. 2-0 lead, as Berkey mentioned, in the 6th inning in Baton Rouge. There's a walk to McLaughlin. First batter faced by Menendez. Numbers, but again tied into the usage of the youth in a first pitch strike to Holt. 0-1. McLaughlin at first doesn't have a stolen base attempt this year. Caglione holding him on. That's a big target over there.
Yes, it is.
It's like having Freddie Freeman at first base.
He's a big man. Yeah, the Razorbacks don't do a ton of running. Just 11 out of 15 in stolen base attempts in conference play.
Did he go? He did. First base occupied, no need to throw, and that's a strikeout for Peyton Holt.
We talked about McNeely's ability to spin that breaking ball. And Peyton Holt got an opportunity to see it firsthand right there. That is a nasty slider there by the Gator freshman. Some big-time experience he's gaining here on the bump at Baum Walker on a Friday night in a tie ball game.
Here's Nolan Souza from Honolulu, and the ball in the dirt, and extra 90 feet for McLaughlin. Oh, why not? Get your first bag.
Kind of. Not exactly.
Well, yeah. What's your scoring? You can give him a stolen base or a wild pitch?
He just advances on a wild pitch.
Souza from Honolulu, as I mentioned, attended Punahou School. Inside 2-0. He was the #1 shortstop in the state of Hawaii, #1 player overall. Punahou has produced the likes of Steve Case, Michelle Wee, Manti Te'o, Norm Chow, Barack Obama, and Kelly Preston. She's got baseball ties, right, for love of the game?
Yes, yes.
Also Jerry Maguire.
Clear the mechanism.
Two-one pitch. Swing and a miss, 2-2.
McNeely is just spinning that breaker. There you go.
Bring your lays.
Some Hawaiian love in the house.
These two in Arkansas uniforms tonight, the second and third to play for Arkansas. Remember Rick Nomura? He was Souza's travel ball coach back on the Big Island. Strikeout of Souza. And there's two down.
Man, we are seeing the high-end version of this Florida pitching staff tonight. That is just 3 nasty benders in a row right under the hands of Souza. And I don't blame Souza. He had swung over the top of 2 of them, so there on the third one, he just put the brakes on and took his chances. But that one landed in the strike zone for sure.
Kendall Diggs trying to get it going. And the count 1-0. One of 3 captains on this Arkansas team, preseason first team All SEC. But working his way back from a left shoulder injury. He only has 2 multi-hit games since March 12th. Relatively speaking, he had 7 of those in the first 17 games.
Yeah, you're talking about a guy that drove in over 60 runs last year, led this club in ribbies. They are dying for him to get hot.
2 down. The runner aboard is Ben McLaughlin. He drew a walk and then moved to second on a wild pitch. Yeah, what a difference Diggs would make. He's batting all the way down in the 7 hole. Caught just a piece of it. He's only homered 1 time since the Mizzou series, which was the opening series of SEC play for Arkansas.
You know, last week we talked about with Vanderbilt, they needed Alan Espinal to get going. If that offense was going to be the best version of themselves, he had to get going. That's the same way with Diggs here in Arkansas. They need him producing at a high level. Well, the old high breaking ball goes his way.
Two balls, 2 strikes to Diggs from Olathe, Kansas, out of St. Thomas Aquinas. Chase the high heat. McNeely loved it.
Makes it makes it even that much more remarkable. And you know, again, it's backing up a season in which Paul Skeens had one of the best years we've ever seen, and the velocity isn't quite as obscene as we saw from Skeens, but the production is right there with him.
Brody Done at the plate. He is 0 for 2 with a couple of strikeouts. Here's the 1-1 pitch from Gackel. Swing and a miss on the slider. They've gone final in Nashville tonight. Vanderbilt knocked off Mississippi State 4-0.
Bryce Cunningham, a complete game, 2-hit shutout. Only 4 punchouts, but 2-hit shutout. As Vanderbilt now moves to 9-1 on the season at home.
They are a different team on the West End.
We talked about our boy Alan Espinal getting hot last weekend. Another home run tonight.
That's all they needed. Got a couple more.
The old game winner.
Yeah. 2-2. Who's got the most to gain this weekend in league play?
Boy, that's a fascinating question.
Thank you.
I think maybe the Gamecocks. You know, you're hosting one of the top 5 teams in the country. You come in 9-9. You've already got a sweep of Vanderbilt on your resume. If you can beat Kentucky, you really, you know, they were on the bubble this week in D1's projection of top 16, and I think they move a little closer to. We know 12 through 16 right now is a little bit of a crapshoot. Nobody quite knows who's going to position themselves. South Carolina's got a tough finishing stretch. They're playing Kentucky right now. They still have Tennessee on their schedule, but you know, if they could somehow win that series, and they're 1-1 right now in the 9th inning, I think that would be a huge statement by them.
Leadoff walk brings Michael Robertson up. He shows bunt. 9 sacrifices on the season for Florida as a team. That bunt is fouled off.
But I tell you, this Gators team right in front of us.
Committee last year. Couldn't get the bunt down, 1-2. But there's another metric that's being considered by the selection committee. You see the relevant numbers, RPI 32, strength of schedule number 3. And that's KPI. It's not an official metric in terms of how teams are ranked, but it is provided to the committee on the team sheets. And he strikes out. They kept the bunt on, and Robertson couldn't get it down.
Well, that's frustrating. And good pitches to bunt, too. It's hard to believe that Michael Robertson struggles as much bunting as he does. I mean, you would think that would just be right up his alley. And I mean, technically, he does everything pretty well there. Keeps the barrel above the ball, but so much so, look at him, uses his legs, gets chest out over the plate, and hits the top of the ball. The problem is he hit too much of the top of the ball to the point where he almost whiffed it. And just the Gators unable to take advantage there of a leadoff runner reaching base.
And here's Ty Evans. And a swing and a miss for Ty Evans. I just wanted to point out in KPI, Florida comes in with a better number than in the RPI. They're 30th. The KPI solely judges teams based on their resume, who you played when. I guess you could argue it's similar to RPI, but different enough. 1 ball, 1 strike. It really rose to prominence on the men's basketball side.
Who you played and when.
It also takes into account run differential. The RPI does not. So you smoke a team 20-2, that gets you more points and looks more impressive than 2-1. 1-1 pitch. Swing and a miss. 1-2.
Boy, Gackel's stuff. This is my first live look at the freshman Gabe Gackel. A fastball that's just hovering 96, 97, and a slider at 86 with a 45% whiff rate. You talk about elite stuff from a freshman. Wow.
Outside 2-2. By the way, one more note on how KPI is used. It's, quality of win concepts. So they factor in the score and all that. That's a small difference. But to quantify it, was it harder for me to go 40-10 versus my schedule, or you go 30-20 versus your schedule? And just another factor for the committee to work in. They got heavily criticized for the reliance on the RPI last year. Kind of fell right in line with it. Ty Evans is 1 for 3. The 2-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Back-to-back Ks now for Gackel.
Boy, that is just filthy. And after starting the game off with a bullet right up the middle against Hagen Smith, Ty Evans now punched out 3 times in a row, and this is just another nasty breaking ball. Well, this Arkansas pitching staff will hurt your feelings. There is some elite stuff coming out of that Razorback dugout.
Well, here's the guy who can hurt the baseball. Second in the nation in home runs, Jack Caglione. Big swing and a miss right over the top of 88.
How about a changeup to start the at-bat? See a lot of freshman relievers come in laying 3 pitches for strikes. I mean, when does that happen?
First pitch changeup. Highest leverage of bat of the game. Swing and a miss on the fastball, 0-2. He went from 88 to 96.
And just tied him up down and in, too.
That's actually, besides right down the middle, up and low, the third hottest spot for Caglione is low and in, which you see from a lot of lefties. The 0-2, runner on the move, swinging a line drive to the gap in left center field. Headed to third base is Done. They're going to stop him there, and Caglione has a hard hit single to keep the inning moving along for Florida.
That extends his hitting streak up against it right there in what could easily be his last at bat. And this is just a 2-strike pitch, Tom, that catches way too much of the plate. Look, trying to go off the plate on an 0-2 fastball, and that one is essentially right down the middle. Lucky that one stayed in the yard. Line drive into left center field. Not a double, just a long single for Jack Caglione. The Gators move the go-ahead run now 90 feet away at third base.
And here's Colby Shelton. Shelton without a hit tonight. Caglione on the move. The pitch is low and away, and they will give Caglione second. That's how Florida got its lone run on a double steal that the Razorbacks, one of the best fielding teams in the country, played into an error.
Let me ask you something. In a tie game in the 8th, where you still have 2 at-bats left, would you just allow a second run to move easily into scoring position? Like, Arkansas didn't even hold him on there. I know you're playing range with a left-handed pull hitter up. I guess if you're going to walk him, it makes your decision easier. They probably didn't want to pitch to Shelton anyway. DVH playing a little chess there. Go ahead and take the base, and we'll just walk him and pitch to Shelton. But even at that, you still have 2 ABs left. Now you're giving up a free runner. I mean, it's interesting right here with some of the decisions that are being made. Now you're putting all the heat here on your freshman against the veteran in Shelnut.
Tyler Shelnut is 0 for 3, couple of strikeouts and a ground out tonight. Bases loaded for him. Swing and a miss at 96. Rodidone led off this inning with a walk. He's at third after a couple of strikeouts. Caglione reached on a single, then took second on defensive indifference, and Colby Shelton with an intentional walk has loaded him up. 0-1 to Tyler Shelnut. Fouled off. Nothing in 2 to Shelnut. What does Gackle come with here?
Well, based on the fact that he left that fastball over the plate to Caglione, I wouldn't mess around here. Just bounce the breaking ball.
Breaking ball popped up on the right side. Stovall waiting and puts it away to end the inning. Gators load them and leave them. We go to the bottom of the 8th. Florida 1, Arkansas 1.
We got 2 freshmen right-handers that can really spin it in the ball game right now.
Hudson White leading off the inning for Arkansas, and the first pitch from McNeely is spiked. Hudson White 0 for 2 with a strikeout. McNeely entered with the runner on in the 7th inning, proceeded to strike out all 3 batters he faced.
I just keep thinking about the confidence that Dave Van Horn showed in his freshman right-hander to walk the bases loaded in a 1-1 game in the 8th. And all Gackle did was get rid of him in 3 pitches.
Cade Curlin. 1 down. And that'll bring Ty Wilmsmeyer up. From Springfield, Missouri, Wilmsmeyer started his college career at Mizzou. His dad grew up in Columbia, Missouri. And the first pitch, breaking ball low and away, 1-0. Ty grew up a big Mizzou fan.
Hogs have a couple Missouri players. Tennessee, Dalton Bargo. There's a few Missouri players around the league.
Yeah, Ross Lovich came with Wilmsmeyer from Mizzou. Dad Brian, his mom Tammy, got a brother Cody. Got an uncle Sean that I used to pal around with back in Como. Ended up being a quarterback at the rival high school, 2-1.
Pal around, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Generic enough.
Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Ty's from Glendale High School in Springfield. "23 years old, and the 2-1, well, that was the 3-1, and it turns into ball 4.
All right, well, this is it right here, right? You get the top of the order, runner on first base. Stovall has been awfully quiet in this ball game with 3 punch-outs to this point.
This came in on a 5-game hit streak. .92 for a strike.
That's the way it goes when you're struggling. You go up there after 3 punch-outs, probably committed to seeing one. And fastball right down Broadway. You find yourself behind the count.
into right center field. That one will get down. Wilmsmeyer can fly. He'll be stopped at third. And the Hogs have runners at the corners with one down in the 8th inning.
Well, that's it. That's exactly the way you draw it up if you're Dave Van Horn. You get a walk out of the 9-hole. Even though Stovall missed an opportunity after a first pitch fastball, gets a hanging breaking ball here and smokes it into right center field. And now first and third, you got pretty much anything in your playbook available to you if you're Dave Van Horn. Do you go safety squeeze? Do you go ahead and let Stovall take it to give you an opportunity to have a 2 RBI base hit on a single that finds a hole? There's a lot of different things here that Arkansas can do. Of course, the one thing you need to avoid with all your might is an inning double play.
It's an Arkansas team, when tied after 7 innings, is 2-1 on the season. And that's the scenario tonight. Jared Sprague-Lott had a sensational defensive play before his error allowed the tying run to score. And the first pitch fastball in for a strike. Fly ball right field. Wilmsmeyer will tag. Catch made by Evans. Here's a throw up the line. He is safe. And Arkansas back in front here in the 8th. You would have needed a perfect throw to get Ty Wilmsmeyer.
He had a chance. Not a particularly deep fly ball into right field. Ty Evans had an opportunity to get behind it and create some momentum. And he's probably 250 feet or so out there in right field. Had momentum coming to the plate, but a throw that just rides up the line. Wilmsmeyer's speed, plenty to pass Heyman in time, and the Hogs take the lead.
To put Wilmsmeyer's speed in perspective, here's Aloy. When Missouri played at Kauffman Stadium against Kansas a couple of years ago, they had all the technology rolling in the big league ballpark, and he ran a sac bunt 30.9 feet per second. In Major League Baseball, elite speed is 30 feet per second. He went home to first in 3.96.
Yeah,
is that
moving
fast?
Yeah, anything sub 4 is moving.
Fly ball to right field again. Evans pushed back at the track, makes a catch, and that will close the 8th. But not before the Hogs manufacture a run. A one-out walk comes back to bite. 4-1 this season when leading after 8. Here's Luke Heyman. And he starts with a chopper to Aloy at the buckle, and one down.
Wildcats with a 3 spot in the top of the 9th, Tommy.
How about that?
I
think they have a chance. I think they have a chance to deliver a message this weekend. Kentucky does. It's a great series against Tennessee. But Tennessee went to Lexington. They won the series. And doubters have a chance to say, well, can you really get it done? Go on the road to South Carolina, take game 1. They'll be in a good spot. Curlin sends it out of play to the right side. Bama and Ole Miss are tied at 5 in the 5th.
Ole Miss desperately needs that one after an ugly performance last night. LSU taking care of business at home.
The young two-sport player, quarterback, pitcher suffered an elbow injury in that game last night for Ole Miss.
Really?
Yeah.
Luke Coleman continues to be pitching at an All-American level for the Fighting Tigers of LSU.
Gackle comes up with a K. His Razorback pitching staff, arguably the best in the nation, and they're showing why tonight. Let the kid hang it. Here, Dad, hold my ball. That is strikeout number 19 tonight.
Quick correction. It was Gage Jump on the mound tonight for LSU, not Luke Coleman.
Oh, okay.
Jump's second straight big-time performance, 7 shutout innings for him.
Florida's going to have a pinch hitter. Got to find something. Blake Brookins will hit in Guy's spot. Arkansas has won 25 consecutive home games. It's the best in this ballpark's history. The school record is 27 straight. That was set by the great teams of 1984 and 85 when they played at George Cole Field. Jeff King and company ended up in Omaha in the College World Series in 1985. They have won 8 consecutive home SEC weekends. And the 14-4 league start is in line with the 1999 team for the best conference start in Arkansas history. 1 ball, 1 strike. One. Low and in. Well, Brookins doesn't have a hit this year. He hadn't seen a whole lot of time. Looks at 96, 2-2. What's he got?
It's his 5th at bat.
Yeah.
And not exactly a friendly one here with 2 outs and the home faithful on their feet against one of the best closers in America. Boy, has Gabe Gackel been electric tonight.
2-2 pitch. Fouled off. If you flip over to the SEC network, you can catch SEC Now tonight. Here's the 2-2 pitch. It'll be coming your way after the softball game. It's a 4-3 ground out to finish the game, and the Razorbacks take game 1 2-1.